Hey everyone, this is Kelsey Jones, Executive Editor of Search Engine Journal, and I'm here today with Eric Enge with Stone Temple Consulting. Eric, thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure. It's always great to do an interview with SCJ, so
Yeah, awesome.
look forward
So
to that.
I know today you wanted to talk a little bit about the content effectiveness optimization. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I hadn't heard that term until you brought it up.
Yeah, so the basic concept is that um, you really have to think about what percentage of users coming to a page on your site, the key pages of your site, are you in fact satisfying?
Okay.
And the reason why this is a big concept to me is that I believe that it's critical to the search engines, and Google in particular, to understand that and use that as a ranking factor. Now, how they measure it, I can't tell you. That's
Okay.
very
Yeah,
hard.
kind of a
And I
mystery.
can theorize on some ways they might measure it, but the fact that they need to measure that and understand that because it impacts the quality of their search engine is what's important about it. And just to explain a little further, if you have 100 users that come to a page on your site from Google search, they want to satisfy, or they want your users, a large percentage of those users to be satisfied with what they get there.
Yes, that makes sense.
And,
Okay.
it gets a little more complicated than that because usually you think, oh, okay, they landed on my, and I always use the example, they landed on my oil filters page, right? Well, they must want oil filters.
Yeah,
Well,
obvious. Yeah, you would think.
Of course, but they likely want a bunch of other things too. They might want a manual for, make sure they're buying the right oil filter. They might want oil.
Yeah.
They might want an oil filter wrench. So these are the kinds of things that kind of end up being part of the equation. Their need isn't as simple as you think it is on the surface.
Gotcha. So it's kind of an art of figuring out the type of content that they're looking for and then optimizing for that.
Correct. So there's a lot of things you need to do. You really need to understand the nature of the users coming to your page and what those, I call them ancillary needs might be. And it goes further than what I've talked about because clearly they might want a shopping cart.
Yeah.
So by the way, I mentioned that because that kind of is not good news for affiliate sites.
Yeah.
So this is a way that Google can filter affiliate sites and lower their ranking unless they're doing
Because
something
they don't
else.
have a shopping cart.
Right, extremely well, right? And then they probably want to see that you have a privacy policy. A lot of people on sites, they might not visit it, but if I don't see one there, that might make them nervous.
That's a trust factor, even subconsciously, you'd say?
Yeah, correct. So that's the whole idea, is mapping all these needs and take it even one step further. Well, gosh, this is a do-it-yourself person working on their car on a Saturday afternoon. Maybe they want to change their windshield wipers at the same time or something else on the car. So you probably don't sell that on the same page, but you have links to other related things they could do at the same time.
So would you say it's still a good idea to have really niche pages? So have just your page about oil filters and then link out to the other ancillary pages? Or do you think that we should have summary pages, a description of each and then branching off? Does it matter?
No, I think you do need those more niche pages. Yes, you still have an oil filters page rather than a DIY page, say.
Yeah.
DIY on your car page. First of all, no one searches on that. But
That's true.
People are coming in with what appears to be a primary need in my example of buying an oil filter. It's just understanding all the other related needs that you have to work into your overall strategy, I think.
Okay, and this is kind of going further into your point about the shopping cart stuff. I've seen a lot of e-commerce sites just build content pages just to try to attract users. Do you think that that's a good strategy, or would it be more important to have just a really descriptive product description page? Do you know what I mean?
It's a dangerous strategy. It really has a risk of running into panda type situations and thin content situations if you build out too many long tail pages.
Yeah, that's what I was
Right.
thinking.
So you have to find that balance. Usually if there's a very discrete and separate part number, that might be one cut that you could use. But you have to watch certain situations. Like if you're selling shirts, you have a separate page for your red shirts, blue shirts,
Yeah.
brown shirts. That starts to get a little too fine, and it's not enough differentiation in that page to justify it. So you have to be very careful about that. Unfortunately, I don't have a simple prescriptive answer for how you set that balance, because it really has a lot to do with your particular market space and what you're selling. So you have to resist the temptation to build out a separate page for anything any user might ever specify in a search query.
Yeah.
Because you really get into trouble that way.
So it is possible to really over-optimize content. I mean, by either repeating pages, like you said, you don't need a page for red shirts when your red and black shirts are the same style, basically.
Correct. Same brand, same style, same sort of material. I mean, when all those things are the same, and what you do there is on the page for that particular shirt, you just make sure that you make it clear that they can pick their color there, and you get
Gotcha.
the words on that page. So that's kind of a way of competing for that phrase without going too far and creating too many pages.
Okay, that makes sense. Well, I know we could probably talk about this for a really long time.
2
but
hours.
yeah, you should do a presentation on it. Your next.
Maybe I should.
There you go. Okay, well, Eric, thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for having me, Kelsey.
Again, this is Kelsey Jones and Eric Enge at PubCon.
Swinging in for me.
Yeah, I literally just got in, so thanks. It's great to be here.
So, head of publisher communications, something that I think people have really wanted for a long time, but still kind of vague on exactly what that is with you. I know it's a new role. What is it exactly is the head of publishing?
The SDJ Summit is one of the better conferences I attended. The speakers were fantastic. The weather here has been amazing. I mean, this location, the hotel.
The thing I'm really liking about the SDJ Summit is the 3 takeaways structure.
Yes.
I'm leaving with way more.
I also like the single session format for conferences.
I agreed to be a speaker here because I think above all else, the quality of people who attend the meeting, something to be said about the fact that you can't just pay to come here. It's by invitation only.
What I've